Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I am Gwendolyn G.R. Houston Jack. I am, an owner of many things, but I love to talk to the people. So I'm here today with Geeta Hines of Profit Comes First on Small Biz Bites. So thank you all for tuning in today. And thank you all who will be watching this later on sometime in the future. Let us know where you're coming in from. We know that we are streaming live to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Yes, one more there. So before we get into it, because for some reason this year has been about getting the money together, but more importantly, having more open and honest conversations about money, both for your personal finances and then as a business owner. So if I can tell you a very short story, and I know I told this to Geeta some time ago, but I'm gonna tell it again. So I did a quick little vlog about Profit First and why I really loved Profit First and how it changed my company and where I was in terms of mindset. And I blogged about it. And then I went to this conference, met this young lady who happened to be in Grand Prairie, so not too far. And then we were having lunch. We were just talking. I was like, so tell me about, what do you do and your father, And she says, well, I'm a Profit First professional. And I said, God, look at this. Look at the universe conspiring to assist me. Because I just said to myself, I was like, man, if I could find someone to come on and talk about Profit First, who was a Profit First professional. I love saying that because it's kind of love the alliteration. I thought that would be so awesome. And then the universe said, here's Geeta Hines. So Geeta, please tell our viewers who you are. And we're going to get into it. I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Me too. I am so excited, so grateful to be here. G, thank you for having me. My name is Geeta Hines, and I am the co-owner of Profit Comes First. So I'm a Profit First professional, and I also provide CFO services for small business owners. So we increase profitability and basically just make your money easier to understand so that you can focus on doing what you love and the reason why you started your business. Because for most people, it is not to look at a stack of financial reports. So that is what I take care of for you.
Definitely that we want to do. Let me go ahead and do some shout outs. We have Spencer coming in from Atlanta. He's driving. Please be safe. But the good thing is we like that you're here. We know that we can be hands-free. So thank you for showing up today. And we also have Erica here. Erica is here. Erica is saying hi to Spencer. We build this community and we love chiming in together and getting all the information because we're in each one, teach one to reach many community. So let's get started. Please tell us about Profit Comes First.
Of course. So Profit Comes First is a family business. So my dad and I work together, and we are both Profit First professionals who provide, like I said, both Profit First implementation and help small business owners set up that system. And we also do CFO services. So we'll do things like cash flow planning to help you get an idea of what money is coming in and what money is going out. We do just a whole bunch of analysis that helps you become more profitable. So we work one-on-one with small business owners, ranging from $500,000 all the way up to 10 million. And we also have a course that is available for businesses of all sizes. And we have different levels of that so that we can support your business in the best way possible.
That sounds pretty cool. So I just want to take a quick little sidewalk. I love tangents. So as I said before, you and your father work together.
Yes, we do.
Can we just take a little dip over here? Because we know a lot of, I mean, I shouldn't say I know a lot of. I'm going to go off. The assumption is, or the stereotype is, a lot of companies, when they get started, they are with family members, right? Because you figure it's my husband, it's my cousin, it's my mother, my father. Surely they'll help me build this business. Surely. Now, was this your idea or was it your father's idea?
So it was his idea. This is actually kind of his retirement project. That's how this started a few years ago. After he worked kind of a long career in corporate sales, he was like, I'm ready to do what I'm passionate about. And it just so turns out that I also love talking about money and was interested in the idea as well. So my role has kind of shifted as the business has grown, but now we both provide the same service. We love working together and also working individually. It's been really nice to both be able to bounce ideas off of each other and grow the business together, but also to individually service our clients. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, being able to work together on a team, but also being able to manage kind of our own, clients and, the way we do business, the way we show up, when we talk to other people, what conferences we go to, like all of that stuff. It's been really great to have kind of that separation, but also that togetherness.
Yeah, I would think so. So I was looking at your title, and I'm not really always about titles, but I thought your title was interesting. What is your job title?
So the official one that I use, it's kind of funny. It's a Chief Profitability Officer.
Yes. Now, was that your idea? You created that?
I don't remember. We may have come up with it together. I honestly don't know.
Because I was like, you know what? I can get down with that. I can get down with that being the job that I have. Definitely like that idea. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Like I said, money it's a taboo topic. I don't actually understand why. So we're going to dive into that really quick and get into it. And if you have any questions about money, personal finances, profit first, if you've never heard of it, throw that in there. If you have other questions, throw that in there. But I want to talk about why is talking about money so taboo? Like, what is the deal with that, in your opinion?
For sure. Yeah, this is something that I've seen as I've worked with all of my clients, just as I've gone out and met people. When I tell them what I do, that I work with money, usually I get people who are very hesitant. They're like, oh, like that's kind of, crazy, or I don't really like, managing my finances, but they're I feel like they have questions, but they don't want to ask them. They're kind of hesitant to dive into the topic, to talk further. Whereas, if I said I worked in marketing, people might ask me like, oh, how do I do this? Or how do I do this? But yeah. I've found that the same thing does not translate to finance. And this is kind of a little bit of a tangent, but one thing that I think really plays into this is money scripts. So I think Brad Klontz, he's the one who kind of invented that term, but the basic idea is that our ideas about money and our beliefs about money are actually formed in childhood. So they might be formed, as early as 5 years old, based on the way our parents handle money. And so I know, like, growing up, my first memory of money is probably when I was 4 or 5, when my parents, handed me a little bit of cash each week and said, okay, we're going to teach you how to use the envelope system by Dave Ramsey, if you're familiar with that. Yeah. So I had a savings envelope, I had a spending envelope, and then I had a charity envelope. And so I would split up that money each week. And so I learned kind of the importance of both saving and spending. And I'm so grateful for that. And I know that is a very uncommon experience. Mm-hmm. Most people at that age, or most people growing up, most of my friends, most people that I've talked to, money is something that you just don't talk about because people will judge you for it, or you don't want other people coming and asking you for money if they know you have it, or, it's one of those things that people, I think, because of the beliefs we form in childhood, and oftentimes those beliefs are this is not something we talk about. It just carries over into adulthood, even though talking about it can be to our benefit.
Let me just, when you said it starts in childhood, I started thinking about some of my memories from childhood. I remember my mother and father sitting at the kitchen table at least once a week where they balanced the checkbook, right? And so I knew that as I got older and started getting my own money, Friday became the balance the checkbook day. And even still, if things are digital, but Friday is still, we got to balance the checkbook, right? when I think about some of the people I've interacted with when they, because I have a retail background. And so when people would call and say, hey, you know what, my account is in overdraft because you took this money. And I thought, it's like, well, you have to know how money moves, right? Like you have to know that you have an open to buy. They're going to hold the money for a little bit before it leaves here and goes there. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Gwendolyn was a check kiter. I admit it. Okay. I floated a couple of checks in college because, it is what it is. So I will go ahead and admit it. No, it's not legal, but it was the 90s, right? So I can count those days. But some of the habits that I can definitely remember, I can see where they came from watching my mother and father and how they used money and spent money and saved and things of that nature. So I completely agree. How do we, and I know this is so not where we're going, but we got to talk about it though. So I'm going to assume that when you're working with people who come to you and say, I need help for my business, you do start with well, tell me how you see money today. Because, people say money is evil. It's the root of all evil. It's like, money's not evil. I mean, it gets me wine, right? So money is good.
Yes, absolutely. That is exactly where we start. So my very first call with any business owners I'm working with one-on-one, we don't talk at all about their business finances. For the most part, we dive into who they are as a person and what they believe about money. Because I think the first step if you were raised to believe negative things about money and you want to change those beliefs, you have to identify them first. Mm-hmm. So oftentimes I'll ask, what we've been talking about, like, how did you learn about money as you were growing up? Like, what kinds of beliefs do you have about money? And oftentimes we end up diving deep into those. And sometimes people realize things that they didn't even know that they thought, or they didn't know that there was another way to think about it. So, even going back to money is the root of all evil, like some people genuinely think that if they make too much money, that makes them a bad person, or they're somehow taking that away from other people. Or if they save money, that there's no, purpose to doing that. Or that a really common one I see is business owners not paying themselves, actually thinking that they don't deserve to earn money because everything has to go back into the business and they don't deserve to celebrate themselves. And so that's one of the first things we address is like, it is hard to be a business owner. Yeah. And if you want to avoid burnout and want to continue to be able to run your business well, like celebrating yourself and actually like paying yourself what you need to, pay your expenses, support your family, like all those things, that is so important. So, and it's not often done from what I've seen. So,
I have to say that I didn't get the profit first. I didn't add it or put it into my business until years in. But you don't know what you don't know, right? So the moment I did it and started breaking out, doing the allocations, I was like, man, like this is so easy. It's so easy. And you feel different because there's like this whole other set of worries that never come up. They don't exist. Now, if you're old enough to have done the envelope system, then you get that when your envelope is empty, there's nothing else in the envelope. You're going to have to wait and figure it out, right? So there is a change of mindset to where you really have to hold yourself accountable to say, I get that this is there. I can't touch that because that's not in that envelope, right? Like that's not there. Like that's not part of.
Yes.
So in general, when you're doing these conversations, do you find that people are pushing back on some of the advice that you're given to say, hey, we are going to do your business finances and get together, but where you are right now, we got to do some work. We got to get into like the nitty gritty. Do you find folks saying, no, things are great. I know I can do it. We don't have to talk about this. Do you ever have that?
Usually people that believe that won't reach out to me to work on them because they don't want.
I don't get those customers.
But the biggest objection that I do get with people who have reached out to me and who want more visibility into their numbers and who want to grow their business is like, do I really have to open 5 accounts? So because the basics of Profit First, like you open 5 different bank accounts and it's basically the envelope system for businesses. So using those 5 bank accounts, once you know the money in the expenses account runs out, then you need to figure out, like, that's a warning bell, like we are spending too much money and we are not going to have enough money. Like if you have to pull money from the profit account, it's you really feel like you're stealing from yourself because the money's separate. Yeah. So that's probably the biggest objection is like, do we really have to open the 5 accounts? And I would say to that, yes, because otherwise it's really hard to get that visibility. And those separate accounts are meant to hold the business owner accountable. So that profit then is actually set aside. Your owner's compensation is actually set aside, and your tax savings to pay your personal taxes as the business owner, because as I'm sure you all know, that can get really crazy. I know we just passed April, which is a tricky time for many people. So the separation psychologically helps business owners to protect those different buckets rather than like, will you actually check a spreadsheet and like make decisions based off of that? Most of the time the answer is no, whereas business owners like y'all are often logging into your bank accounts. Most business owners that I work with say they log in at least once a day and they make decisions based off of the account balance. So yeah,
I don't log into mine once a day, but okay. Since we're here, we'll go ahead and tell the people about Profit First. When you get to a certain place with things, you're perfectly fine in just saying stuff. I recall when we were at this business conference, and shout out to Gary, because Gary was also at the Business Champions Conference. Thank you for joining in with us, sir. I remember we were talking, and I said, I only have $543 in my operating expense account, so I cannot invest in anything else. I mean, I was like, yeah, I had no problem sharing the number, had no problem acknowledging where I am right now. It's like, yeah, we're not going to buy anything because that's where we are. So can we go into what is Profit First?
For sure. Honestly, we might have wanted to do that earlier.
I know, right?
You talked so much about it. But the basic principle of Profit First is that if you take your profit first, you will actually have it, versus most of the time, business owners see profit as a leftover, because the traditional equation that we've all been taught is sales minus expenses equals profit. That's like accounting 101. You know, you have what comes in and then you have what goes out, and what you're left over with is your profit. So Profit First actually flips that equation, and we do sales minus profit equals expenses. So that protects your profit as the business owner and then leaves you to run your business on what's left over. So the expenses become the leftover. So it is a cash management system. And I've mentioned the 5 bank accounts, but we have 5 bank accounts. So everything comes into the income account and then gets allocated on a percentage basis to the other 4 accounts. So that way, when you as the business owner log in, your existing habit is to log in, check your bank balance and say, okay, do I have money to spend? If you do have money to spend, chances are you're going to spend it. If you see $5,000 in your bank account and you want to make $1,000 investment, maybe into, a course, or maybe you're looking at buying a new piece of technology, you're like, wow, okay, $1,000, I have $5,000, I can afford that. Whereas with Profit First, you would look at it and you would say, actually, I only have, $1,200 in my expenses account, because the rest is going to my owner's compensation and taxes and profit and all those other things. And that changes the way that you make your decision, without forcing you to change your habits. Because a lot of what I've seen in the business world that talks about becoming more profitable tells business owners to change their habits and implement something that's just really far off from what they do currently on, a daily or a weekly basis. So this system is designed with the existing habits of the business owner in mind, which is one of the reasons why I've seen it help so many people.
Yeah, I had a chance to meet Mike Michalowicz last year, the years and days and things kind of come together. And I remember getting my book signed, and he was like, do you use Profit First? And I was like, man, yeah. He's like, so how's it going for you? I said, I just paid my taxes and I didn't have to worry about anything, because
Incredible.
There is an account that has all your tax money waiting for you. And because it's there and is only for that, there isn't this fear of, am I going to have enough to cover XYZ at blah, blah time, right? Like, it's there. And not only that, like if you think about in terms of expenses, if you're looking at just spending and your expense account is looking kind of like, you start thinking maybe we need to go back and reevaluate some of these expenses. Perhaps I'm doubling efforts in some areas. Perhaps I can pull back on something. Maybe I don't really need that after all. Or maybe I can scale down on my current account, whatever it is. But it makes you look at it and say, is everything that I do here, right now, is it really worth it for this to be, operating like, is this really part of my cost of doing business, or is it a nice to have kind of thing, right?
Definitely. The expenses analysis is one of my favorite activities in Profit First. So the book, walks you through doing that and going through every single expense. Because oftentimes you will find something that surprises you.
Right.
Almost every time.
For sure. I know this year started and I said, okay, we need to go back and reevaluate. And we cancel some things that were clearly, some of them were duplicating efforts, right? Okay. 3 of them were duplicating efforts. We're going to be honest today, people. Let's go ahead and get honest. They were duplicating efforts. So I thought we can cut that out and let's maximize what I have, because there's no need in buying all these things. And I'm a photographer. There's a lot of photographers in the crowd. As a matter of fact, hey, real quick, shout out to Ron Foster. I know he's coming in from Brooklyn, so we'll go ahead and shout that out there. And let me just bring in, for anyone else who is coming in to Small Biz Bites, streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, I am with Geeta Hines of Profit Comes First. She is our Profit First professional. God, I love that alliteration. You gotta love it. It's like, but she is giving us all of the info we need as small business owners to get our finances in order. And, I just feel, no, there's no feeling. I am going to say, I know that when I talk to a lot of people, and a number of small businesses are not around 3, 4, 5 years. And part of it's because we don't take care of our finances and we don't pay ourselves. We feel like profit comes after what's the average, 7 to 8 years, something like that is what I think I've heard. 7 to 8 years, you finally break even or do whatever. And I thought, why are we doing it that way? Aren't there other ways to do this? So I wholeheartedly love Profit First. When people meet me, I tell them about it. I actually sent Ron a book not too long ago. I was like, baby boy, you need this book. And then I thought, wait, it should have been Audible because he likes to listen, but it's okay. So tell us, how does someone get started with Profit First?
For sure. So the book covers the basics of everything that you need to know about how to get started. So if you are a reader, if you want to dive more in depth, I would totally recommend picking up a copy of Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. And if you go to profitcomesfirst.com, we do have a pop-up on there where if you give us your email, we will send you the first 2 chapters for free. So you can hear from Mike himself and kind of get an intro and a feel for how the book is going to read before you get it. But what I would say is the very first step that we have business owners take, especially if I'm just talking to somebody casually about Profit First and they're like, how do I get started, is to open a profit account and start setting aside 1% of your sales into that profit account. It is a very tangible, easy first step for most business owners, because sometimes 5 accounts seems really daunting. And it's like, okay, well, how do I figure out the percentages that I need? I don't want to open 5 accounts just yet. Like my bank doesn't want me to do that, et cetera, et cetera. Like there can be a lot of hurdles for somebody who's never heard of Profit First, or if you're not totally sold on the system. But the biggest thing and what's most important, again, is setting that profit aside, which is why even if it's only 1%, and that seems like a very small number, over time, you will start to build a habit of setting your profit aside so that eventually you can raise that percentage. And if you do want to run the full Profit First system, you'll be able to open those accounts and you'll already be in the habit of allocating things. But that money does build up. Like small steps over time are really, this is not an overnight process.
No.
So all of our business owners, like it does take, a few months to even a year, a few quarters to see results. So over time, we found that even just setting aside 1% of sales and putting it in the profit account can make a significant difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, right? And it goes back to, if I only see this one account, which is where we plan for all the bills and all that kind of thing in terms of operating expenses for your business, then you don't see this other stuff that's there. It's like, well, that money's not there. So really quick, I know you mentioned it, at least I think you did. What are the 5 bank accounts that we would create if we were going to implement Profit First?
For sure. So the 5 bank accounts are, number 1, your income account. So this is where you set up, if you have sales through any other system, that all gets deposited into the income account. So all of the money coming in goes into income. And then the other 4 accounts that we have are expenses, profit, owner's compensation, and taxes. So if you want the, I think you can Google like the Profit First. They have target percentages for each of these accounts. It's in the book. It's fairly easy to find. But then from the income account on a percentage basis, typically business owners will do this either twice a month or once a week. You allocate money from that income account into the other 4 accounts, giving to like profit and owner's compensation first, taxes, and then expenses.
That makes sense. I mean, I know when I started, and there are now more options, and there are now banks that are more friendly to small business owners. So there are places, there's a number of them. I actually shared it. There are a number of places where you can get more than one account, $0 monthly fee. Because I know for a lot of us, the reason why we do what we do is because the monthly fees, right? It's like, well, how do I save money if I have to pay $25 to have a checking account or whatever, right? So like, I'd rather not do that. I'd rather commingle funds, perhaps. So, we know that there are now banks, a number of banks that are working with small business owners that allow us to have more than one account. So it is definitely possible. And as Gary was saying, those small numbers, they add up, but it's practice. I got to say the first 4 months, we'll say the first 6 months, it was a hem and the haw on getting my allocations correct. But when you start putting it away and you sort of see a little bit of something in the profit, you're like, oh, look at me, I have the money. It's a great feeling. It is absolutely the best feeling ever. So I can't say enough that in terms of people having a sustainable business, you've got to change your mindset. That definitely has to change. So I do have a question. I have a question here for myself. Do you find that business owners use their personal finances mindset to manage their business finance? Because I know you mentioned that you do talk with people when they come in to say, your money scripts, tell me about it. Do you notice this too? Like after you get through that conversation, do you say, hey, we got to change a whole bunch of stuff in here?
Yes, for sure. And I will dive deeper into that. One really quick note on banks. Relay Bank is now the official bank for Profit First, and they let you open up to 20 checking accounts. Actual physical bank accounts where you can move money around as you please. I think they allow you to auto allocate. You set your allocation percentages and it does it for you on a specific day of the month. So Profit First is really, I think it's been awesome that they've partnered with Relay, and that's very recent in like the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And like Erica said, credit union.
I was like, what? I said, wait, 20? Did y'all say 20 accounts?
20 bank accounts, yes.
I was like, what? Yes. That was a blessing. I said, that's a blessing right there. But so tell us, yes. So when you're talking to people and you've covered their money scripts, and then you're like, okay, let's see, how do we get all of this untangled? Because I haven't done the research. I have not done it. But just in talking with other people, I can't help but notice how some people are like, oh, well, no, I don't have a business account. Like I have my personal account and I can see what came from the business. And then I just take it out. And then I'm like, what? Yeah.
Gary's emojis, I feel like hit it spot on, just like shocked.
Man, I mean, but okay. So that's 2 questions because they're all coming in. A lot of people start a business for sometimes to sometimes to make the ends meet, right? Like that's where a lot of people come from. So a lot of them, if they don't have any kind of financial literacy, will only use what they have to get forward. So a lot of times that is, I have a personal account or I'm just using cash and that is it. So question number one is the money scripts. Now that you know like where their mindset is and you're looking at their commingledness, how do you go about getting them detangled?
So the first thing is, to open the business bank accounts and to separate those. Even in the case of like being, a sole proprietor and not setting up like an LLC or an S corp or anything, it is still really important to have those separate bank accounts so that you can clearly see what belongs to the business and what belongs to you personally. And that's also for liability reasons. If somebody, for whatever reason, sues your business, you want that to be separate so that they can't come after, your personal finances as well. And that's something to talk to, a lawyer about, to talk to an attorney, and also to talk to a CPA for tax reasons. Like as a business owner, utilize those two people, find those two people for yourself and get official advice from them. If you are serious about your business and you want to kind of take that next step, because like, you're right. So many people open it as a side hustle to make a little bit of extra cash, and then it grows and they're like, wait a second, like everything is still all intermingled. So opening those separate bank accounts, and even if you don't have an accounting software like QuickBooks Online, or Wave is another popular one, Xero, any of those things, even if you are not on that platform, if you are not at that point, setting up a simple spreadsheet where you track, your sales, your expenses, and what you're left over with. And just being able to see, okay, this is what we made in sales, this is how much we spent, and this is, what we're looking at for profit, because that will be so helpful for you, not only throughout the year to see how your business is doing, in addition to kind of being able to check your bank balances, but also once tax time comes, if you are, serious about running a business, having that documentation, especially if you do end up moving to an accounting software and working with a bookkeeper. Having that basic info will be so helpful and will save you so much hassle.
I was talking with Erica earlier about fiscal, mindset, and that fact that when people create their business, they don't know when their fiscal season starts, right? Like, is it from January to December? Is it from April to March? Like, if you're looking at your sales from quarter to quarter and you're trying to plan for like next year, then I have to know, what did I do last year to say I want to do 5% more than last year's sales? I want to grow traffic by an additional 10% by the end of the third quarter. But a lot of folks don't talk about like, well, what's your fiscal system? Like how are you operating? We just don't think about it. Well, okay. I'm gonna go back to, you don't know what you don't know. And I know Gary mentioned it, having that side hustle mindset. Personally, I shouldn't say was, I still am. I'm a straight and narrow kid. So, I was always following the rules for the most part. The one time I tried to skip school, they locked the gate and it rained and I got, poured on. So we don't really go off the cuff. Like we follow all the rules. So if it is, you should pay your taxes. Yes, we are an LLC. We do pay our state taxes. We file our franchise taxes. Like we do all the things because the idea of getting caught or being sued isn't worth it. It's like, it just isn't worth it. But we digress. We got a question. Gary says, do I need an LLC or a corp to open a business bank account?
You do not. So as a sole proprietor, you can open business bank accounts. I'm pretty sure you can just use your social security number. I know that's how we got started, was just opening those business bank accounts. And if you want more advice, again, I can't give you legal advice. I'm not a CPA. So just to clarify, please do check with, an attorney or a CPA if you're looking for official guidance. But no, you don't need to have either of those things to open business bank accounts.
But if I can just go off another tangent there, because I think it's great how you mentioned, and we will find a lot of financial and legal people mentioning that you should speak to someone who is an authority in XYZ field. The other thing that I find from small business owners is that we will typically talk to our neighbor to get advice about some of the biggest decisions in our company that impact us in ways beyond what we've even thought about, right? It's so easy to go to the barbershop. If we look at today's society, Facebook, because everybody's a therapist on Facebook. It's easy to go to like Instagram and take stuff off of someone's TikTok and make really big decisions based on someone's 30-second or 1-minute snippet about how to run your business or how to avoid taxes and whatever, right? What do you think, in your opinion, what is the boulder that keeps people, because again, it's money, from asking for reliable advice from a and what's the right word? I don't want to say a legal resource, but somebody who knows what they're doing.
Oh, for sure. I think like so much information being accessible on the internet is a blessing and a curse. I think it's fantastic that we can learn about so many different things, even, like literally, I'm sure there are articles out there on, how to start your business 101 that walk you through every single step. And maybe it's from a trustworthy source and maybe it's not. That's the hardest part, I think, for people, is finding somebody that they trust, especially if they are going to be paying them money and taking advice from them. Like, at least if you take advice from a family member, it's free, Whereas if you are paying somebody, it's like, how do I find a CPA that I trust? How do I find a lawyer that's not going to charge me $100 for every 5 minutes that I talk to them? Like, yeah, it can be difficult.
I love these kinds of conversations, because when we talk about what are the things that are keeping others and us as well from getting, as you say, trustworthy. That was the word. It's like, that's the word, trustworthy. Number one on the board, trustworthy. That's the word I was looking for. If you talk about lawyers who charge you, as you say, XYZ dollars a minute, people immediately think, I don't even have the money to open the checking account and I got to come out of pocket. So I'd rather not bother doing anything. I'd rather ask my Uncle Eddie, who has, he's been in business. He's had a couple of businesses. Surely he knows something, right? Or I'll ask my friend who's on Instagram, who's, flossing and sitting out, it's like, there's all these things that keep us, but there are resources. Small Business Administration, SCORE mentors. There's so many things that the government actually provides to you, but for some reason, as you said, it's just easy to go to, and at this point, social media, YouTube. I mean, and I love YouTube. I really do. But I keep going back to, like, are you reliable? Like, some of this doesn't sound quite legit, right? But people are like, this is how we travel all year round and never pay taxes. You can do it too. It's like, well, if that's the case, we all be doing it. I mean, clearly something's not right there, but whatever, to each his own, Not going to get into those places. But tell me this, could somebody use Profit First for their personal finances? Because, technically it's an envelope system.
Yes, 100%. It took me a while to sell my husband on this, but I use Profit First for our personal finances. So we have an income account and an expenses account, and then we have multiple different savings accounts for different savings goals that we have. So saving for emergencies, saving for new cars for both of us, saving for vacations, for taxes, since I'm a business owner, and I also have my own personal tax account that we set stuff aside. And it has given us, we started saving so much more money when we implemented this in our personal lives as well, because it's basically a digital envelope system. Because a lot of people, I feel like, hear about the envelope system and they're like, oh, that's great, but like, who's actually using cash and physical envelopes anymore? Like, especially oh, so I know some people do, but I personally, I dislike using cash. Like,
really? Well, okay, so if you're traveling, you gotta have a little cash on you. Like, if you're traveling, so definitely, like, I tend to carry more than, I would say, truly, I I would have at any one time anywhere from $5 to at most 20. But I gotta have something because every now and then you're like, oh, I need $1 for this, or I need $5 for that, and But yeah, I mean, after COVID, but even before COVID, I knew money was dirty. Like, I'm just gonna put it out there. It was just, I'm coming out of retail, and I would be a liar if I didn't tell you that we had sanitizer by the register. I'm not gonna lie to you. So yes, money's always been dirty, but no, the idea of implementing the envelope system on a digital scale for personal finances, it's pretty awesome because it still works. I mean, the idea still works. A lot of it is training yourself to say, do I really need all these things? Yes, we always need more wine. Yes. Hello. The answer is yes. Oh my goodness.
The money's there.
All right. There. I like how Erica says Uncle Eddie has been arrested 3 times, but Mama never told you. And your friend took that dress back after she filmed the video. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Erica. So now we know the truth about Uncle Eddie. And there was a time, I've never done it, but there was a time that, yes, people would buy new clothes and wear them and take them back. But that's how you have Rent the Runway. Hello?
Yeah.
There's a business there, people. There's a business there. So if you, and that's not the only one that does that, but again, we can definitely find things to to make into a business. So it's definitely there. I want to say this again, as for those who are joining us now or either later, we are talking to Geeta Hines of Profit Comes First. And I do want to talk about the company and how they can contact you in depth real quick. We're streaming to Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I have more topics about money coming because personally, I have 2 circles where we discuss all the details about the money. Like all the details. We openly share our credit score. We openly share how much debt we have. If we even consider getting a credit card for whatever reason, we discuss the APR and the all the details in the fine writing that's like this big that I now need like a magnifying glass to read. It's like having a financial advisory board. And if you can find someone like that in your circle, I highly suggest it. It's great to do things as a community versus by yourself. There's nothing like having a friend say, you know what, I just paid off my student loan. Woo-hoo! And I'm going to go out and get myself a bottle and celebrate. That's a great thing because that tends to be a really big debt. Or the house is paid off or the car is paid off, whatever it is. It's just great to have those conversations. So get you some people that you can talk about the money freely without any idea of being judged, because we know that it's about being judged. And before we go down this other tangent, because Geeta, I can keep you here all day, but I know you got to work. Gary says, dirty money. Diddy was in a music group going by the name. Really? I must have missed that. Okay. A little fun fact there. Thank you, Gary. So tell us, Geeta, how do we get in contact with your company, Profit Comes First?
Of course. So there are 3 ways that you can connect with us. So the first one, I think I already mentioned, is if you go to our website, profitcomesfirst.com. There's a pop-up on there that allows you to get the Profit First toolkit. So we'll send you, I think, like 5 emails. You get 2 chapters. The first 2 chapters of Profit First, we give you, the target allocation percentages, a list of other banks if you don't want to use Relay, and just some other resources to help you get started with Profit First. The second way, which I mentioned we have a course, because doing things with other people by your side, again, is so important. Yeah. So with the course, all different tiers of the course, which is called the Profit Blueprint, all of those different tiers include access to us within the course to ask any questions that you need. So again, if you go to our website, there is a tab up top that says course, and I think we will send you an email with all of the details if you put in your email there. And the third way is our podcast. So the Profit Answer Man streams across all the podcasting platforms. And again, you can see that on the website. And we talk profit first on there. My dad does host that podcast. His name's Rocky. So Rocky is the host of that podcast. And I think you'll hear my voice on there occasionally, but not nearly as frequently. But we interview other business owners on there and just give you lots of different ideas if you're implementing profit first or looking to increase the profitability of your business. So those are the 3 main ways.
That is sweet. And the website?
The website is profitcomesfirst.com.
Thank you. So we got a podcast. It's Profit Answer Man.
Profit Answer Man, yes.
That's the podcast, right? Is that like on Spotify or?
It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We have a Libsyn link, I believe, on our website that will allow you. It'll take you to whatever platform you listen on.
Sweet. I'm gonna have to add that to the crew because we're at a place where people are all. We're at a place where there's just a lot of change happening. And I know 2020 brought on a lot of that change for a number of people. I myself, in 2012, started considering creating my own business as a second career. So it was the planning. I wish I had done some of this beforehand to sort of take out some of the lumps and bumps, but you live and you learn. So I love my lumps and bumps. We won't do it again. That's for sure. We won't do it again. But I do know that when I talk to other business owners and just seeing some of the questions that are out there, and when you're in your community, people can be more open to just sharing and saying, I don't know, and I'm not so sure. So there needs to be plenty of more conversations about money, having a profitable business, about paying yourself first and not doing the struggle bus. Like eventually I'll break even and then blammo, it's been 3 years. I have not looked, but I was checking the numbers of the companies or businesses created during COVID and how many are still in business today. Because it's been 3 years now, right?
Yeah.
3 years. So it'll be cool to see, because there was this huge influx. Like it was an influx. And now you're wondering, it's been 3 years. The customer behaviors has slightly changed, but depending on what you were selling, are you still in business or did you go back to whatever happened? So that's on my little personal research list because I like to look at the numbers. I like to see what's going on. I know a lot of women create businesses, and we also, according to some SBA reporting, tend to be the least in seeking out financing and also getting approved for financing. So whatever we can do to just throw some more nuggets when it comes to financial literacy in the small business pool, Gwendolyn is here for. So I'm going to definitely look at that Profit Answer Man podcast, more than likely shout it out so that others can get the same information and not just, drown. We don't want to drown.
Definitely not.
So before because I know we're almost close, man, an hour goes by so fast. It's so fast.
Sure.
Before we go on, if there's any questions for Geeta about profit first, profit comes first, and she is in Grand Prairie, but you work with people all over. I mean, hey, we live in a digital age here, right? Digital age. Do you ever do things by Zoom?
Yes, my whole life is basically on Zoom because we work with clients across the country. So
there you go. See, so if you want to work with Geeta, by all means, you could go to their website and check them out. And then that way, at least you would know somebody who I'm going to say is not only a reliable resource, but very trustworthy. So there you go. I just helped you all out. Ron says here, businesses have closed, but new businesses have emerged. It'll just be interesting to see. Supposedly we're in a recession. And I think there is something going on. I mean, I don't know what exactly. I don't even know how to frame it. I think it's a recession. I'm not really sure. I know people are doing layoffs for, all kinds of reasons. Inflation is what inflation is, although I think some of that is just bumping up stuff just because. But that's a whole nother topic. Let me not go there. We do have another question. We have Daryl Bosick, I believe. Do you offer free consultations?
So we do. So if you are interested in working together, again, if you go to the website, there is a button that I think says schedule a free 15-minute Zoom call. And if you schedule, you'll get on both of our calendars. So both my dad and I will be there. We take all of our intro calls together so we can see, who's the best fit to work with this particular business owner. And it'll just be a time for us to learn a little bit more about your business. And if you have any questions about what we do, you can ask those at that point. And so yeah, that's the best way if you are interested in working together to connect with us.
Thank you for asking. That's a great question. That's a great question that you can, because a lot of people want to, talk about rabbit holes. And I'm gonna, because I was just chatting with some friends about the influx of coaches and how, you want to find a coach that, I'm going to say it, isn't going to scam you. And so people are just a little hesitant on investing the money without, doing like a little test of the dish. Like, can I, test that before I invest in something, right? Like, we just want to know. So thank you for offering those free consultations. Like, that's awesome. 15 minutes, people, by all means. I say, look it up. Personally, Profit First has definitely helped me. I have not used a Profit First professional. I have to do this to get my timing down. But it's a blessing to have these people who have studied the system and can get you on the right path. Erica says here she's been on the treadmill this whole time. Thanks for making it enjoyable and helping the time fly by. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. We are here for you. Get your workout on, get your financial literacy on. We're going to do it. Gary Jackson says, a market reset, bad forecasting, all that jazz. Well, could be. I can't figure out what's going on with the market. I can't figure it out, but I'm watching the news every day and, we're not here for that. No rabbit holes. No rabbit holes.
Man, that's an hour-long conversation in and of itself.
I know. It's like, we'll have to do something else. We're going to do something else. Rosario says everybody and their grandmother is a coach these days. Yes, we're just going to put it out there. We're going to put it out there. Everybody and their mother is a coach these days. So I will tell you that's going to be a separate topic next week. We're going to talk about coaching. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to open up Pandora's box and we're going to blow it up. So yeah, the book Profit First is written by Mike Michalowicz. It is available on Amazon and I think Audible too, right?
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, I know they have digital and physical copies available for sure. So I can't imagine why it wouldn't be on Audible.
Yeah, it's an easy read and the way that Mike writes a book, it is so easy to read. He's even more personable in person. Love every time he does any kind of like conference or something. He's that guy. He's going to keep you engaged. It's so hard to be like, oh my God, this guy is like the way that he talks about money. It sucks you in. And if everybody talks about money that way, it would be so easy. But with a lot of things, we create these atmospheres, these environments to make it hard. As you and I were talking before, when people say, if you have to ask the cost of something, you can't afford it. And I was like, that's baloney. That's like straight baloney. You should, but yes, ask the cost of it. Like, yeah, be an informed consumer. But we know that in years past, and I want to say that maybe some of that keeping up with the Joneses is still, I don't know. Are they the Joneses? No, it's the Kardashians, right?
Kardashians.
Is my age showing? I'm sorry. But we are still doing those things where we live in this sort of, I want to pretend that I have the money. So if I have to ask, and maybe I really can't afford it, it's all a facade. I mean, you can always lease a Maserati, even for a day. Not that I've done it, just saying. But if I had to, I mean, look at the Real Housewives. I mean, they're getting foreclosed on their fancy mansions because they didn't pay their rent. What does that tell you? All right, so Ron says the markets are afraid of the debt ceiling fiasco. Oh yes, businesses don't know what to do until we are past this deadline. Right, everybody's on alert. Yeah, yeah. That's probably there too. And Gary says, I need those, you need the numbers. Oh, okay. Oh man. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? So I will say this, because we are almost at an hour. Almost, but I want to give some time back to Geeta, unless we got all these comments. Oh, who is this? Jenner? Oh my God. We have all the rabbit holes going, Geeta. My apologies. I should have said the Kardashians. I should have said it. But I will say this too. Real talk. Talk about money. If you can find, just say 5 people that you can talk about money openly, right? And truly bare your soul, because it's just not good, in my opinion. This is just my opinion, to try to grow by yourself, right?
For sure.
If you can find a community where you can openly talk about the debt, getting out of debt, investing, how to invest, how to have a profitable business, find those people, make your little circle, and you can do that. I mean, I'm gonna show my age again, but back in the day, they had those investment circles, right? People got together and did it as a community. We can still do that today, but you gotta sort of bare your soul, and say, hey, you know what? My name is Gwendolyn. I have debt, right? Just go ahead and say it, right? It could be your card note. It could be your house. It could be your student loan, whatever it is. But also be honest with yourself. If you are a major spender, be honest with yourself on how you spend money, and think about your money scripts. What do you recall seeing or learning when you were a kid? Think about those things and start that conversation. The Jones died. They did? Oh, their brokenness caught up with them. Oh, okay. So on that note, oh my God. On that note, that tells me it is time to wrap up this Small Biz Bites. We want to thank Geeta Hines of Profit Comes First for giving her time today and sharing her expertise as a Profit First professional. There we go. Gotta get that out. Gotta get it out. Thank you so much, Geeta, for giving us this time. And check her out. Check out her and her father. They do that 15-minute free consultation. It is profitcomesfirst.com. They have the podcast Profit Answer Man. Check that out. We said Spotify and Apple, iTunes, whatever. But it's also on their website. So check that out. Geeta, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for giving us your hour as well. We will see you next week. We have more small business owners coming to share their story and expertise. Enjoy your day.